recording.
How long have we been recording? Okay, anyways. Hey, it's a podcast. Hey, it's a Talkback episode. What? Oh my goodness. That's right, everybody. We're not here for a regular episode of Dodoborne. We're here for a Talkback end of season 1 summary Talkback episode. That's right. Our last episode of season 1 has released, and we're here to chat. We're here to talk about it. And I need to just, before we get too far, I need to defend myself for a second because having had to listen back to this multiple times, I feel like any good GM, you hear things you should have done different, but I need to explain and defend myself. There's a key moment, I feel like, where the energy turned against me for real. And that's when, if you recall, Crank ran up to hit my guy, Commander Glenn, whose job it was to be scary and intimidating. And your first attack fully missed. An 11 was not enough. You needed a 15. And so then maybe like 2 hours after you said, oh, I'm going to punch him, then Cappy comes in and is like, oh, can I actually like give the help action?
What if I spend a hope to help? Like, could the same move play out, but I use my halberd to try to like grab his ankle and scoop him up?
You know what? In this case, if you want to use if you want to spend a hope to give Crank a help action, and I should have said no. I should have said no. It's too late. We've already rolled. We're so well beyond the point at which you should do this. But I was cocky, right? I was cocky. Y'all have been rolling.
How much
not
sleep
so
have you lost over this?
The entire time I've been editing, every time I hear myself say, yeah, you can do that. What's happening? No. What's happening in my voice there is that I'm gambling because I'm like, he would need to roll a 4 or higher, and Cappy's not been rolling hot. And so I'm like, I'll take those odds. It's a 50-50 chance. Cappy's going to run up, waste a hope. It's not going to happen. Crank's going to get hit with a counterattack, and it's going to really like set the mood for this fight, right? And then my man rolls up there and hits a 4, and you hit my guy, and I was like, well, that was a lot of damage from Crank because Crank hits hard. And, thinking back, hindsight 2020, I should have said no, but I didn't. I gambled and I lost because if it wasn't clear by the end of this episode, y'all were absolutely tanking me.
That's my job.
That is, in fact, Annie's job. Annie's job is to kick your ass, specifically in battle.
Also, if it wasn't that, it was going to be something else, man. We were locked in.
Right.
That whole session.
We had like so many crits. Like
honestly,
like 4 or 5 crits
on it. Could
per
y'all?
person.
The dice chose us.
The dice?
The dice chose, especially you, Annie. Like, how did it feel in that fight when you were both dealing out a bunch of damage, but also taking a bunch of damage?
Felt great. I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because like I can take a lot of hits and not go down, as we've seen.
Yeah.
But I can also hit a motherfucker really hard.
Yeah.
And you did. It's kind of like that's probably what Crank was doing back in the day, too.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
This has been his whole life.
Right.
This is kind of all he knows.
And it showed in this fight. Oh my gosh. Y'all could hear, like, because the first episode of the finale, right? I feel like I was really a gremlin. I was like, ooh, like you can hear me smiling throughout it as like bad things are happening.
Yeah. You can definitely see the energy shift though. About 20 minutes into the finale, you
go from gremlin to these fucking guys.
Honestly, because in my head I was like, this is gonna be a finale. It's gonna be intense. Bad things are gonna happen. And I do want to know from y'all, like heading up, obviously from the beginning, there had been foreshadowing. There had been me giving hints that something was coming.
Oh yeah.
Now, when we were heading up to the Apple Festival, what were y'all expecting?
Well, I can tell you I wasn't expecting an explosion, but I definitely knew we were going to see Chomsky and Buckeye and Sunset again. I was expecting that, but that's about all my expectations were.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely expecting those things. I think we all knew that we were leading up to whatever was going to happen was at the Apple Festival.
Yeah.
I really didn't think Joe at the table did not have any kind of handle on what the hell was going on in your brain. Like a lot of like Cappy running around doing the conspiracy bit was a lot of fun, and it was fun to just like grasp onto the most obviously not right answer. But there was so many times throughout where I was genuinely trying to and not, connecting the dots at all. So, I mean, even right now, I still don't fully know exactly how it all ties together.
Right. Because I think like we're small town people. And so like our brains were small town. Like as far as the
Mhm.
scale of the politics of what's going on right now,
Right.
I don't think like, at least I wasn't thinking that far in.
Yeah, I think I didn't really have expectations. I knew something was going to happen, but I swear every time we sit down at this table, I dissociate. And I just like
No.
have no idea what's going on. I'm just like in it, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I had any thoughts of like, oh, this is going to happen or this isn't going to happen. It was just kind of like whatever happens, happens, and I'll react to it.
No thoughts, just reactions.
Honestly, actually, I think that's probably the most valid point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the best example of that is the one where we have like the weird fever dream.
Oh gosh.
And
Yeah.
you're like, and like in the dream, it's like, and a spotlight goes down into the forest, and there's a tabernacle and da da da.
You see a golden path that lights the way as flickers of starlight seem to shine from within it. You see a vision of a man standing in the middle of a large temple on a rounded dais.
And I don't think I was listening to you at all. I'm just gonna be really honest. I think at the moment that I had decided it was Cyrus's face on that acid burrower, I was going to talk to Cyrus, and I don't remember that. And then when we woke up from the dream, you're like, "There's a sparkle out in the edge of the forest," and we all just fucking ignored you.
ignored
Like
it.
we all were like, "Well, let's go into town and do our own shit," which I think was the right decision. But
Yes.
it was very clear that like we were just in it and not
Yeah.
thinking super high level at what the overall story arc was.
Truly, as a GM, I can only seed the pathway. I can only lead the horses to water, but I cannot make y'all drink. But it really, because listening back, it is like 3 times that I'm like, you look over and you see starlight. And I'm like, what other ways can I
Yeah,
describe?
and you're like, what do you want to do next? And it's like, well, we're going to go to the infirmary, obviously.
Right, obviously.
or the
That-
barracks or whatever.
That makes more sense, I think, to the characters too. And I
Yeah.
do think it's pretty evident that we're like in the moment and in the characters and not like metagaming in that in that way. It's not like, oh, we see the objective. It's like, oh, we're gonna do what makes best sense for those characters in that moment because we're in it once
Yeah.
we sit down.
Yeah, again, when I'm at this table, I'm not thinking like Annie. I'm thinking like Crank. Like,
Because truly, it worked out great. Because like, had y'all just gone straight to it, right?
Mhm.
Y'all would have met Percival Anachronisms. It would have been really goofy.
My name is Percival Anachronisms, and I'm the caretaker of this here Sage's Grove.
But I think that y'all going into the town first after these pretty like intense moments
Mhm.
really, I think, set the stage even a little better for him to come in and just be like, there's a staff and who knows where it is. Uh-oh. So
Yeah. I also like whenever I heard that episode back, not to give you too much credit, it's going to go to Isaac's head, but I
know what you're
often
talking
think
about.
about how you very clearly had a plan and then you had to so quickly adapt. So I just think that lends a lot of skill to how you can do that, to go from like, they're obviously going to go to the forest to, oh, Cyrus and Cappy have to have a serious talk. Scarlett's going to tell Crank and Pistachio that she's, been married off. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, the whole back and forth of like kicking in the door, and like you had to switch through like 15 different characters in that episode. I remember you had to like,
Seamlessly, by the way.
you had to be like Carol,
yeah.
Scarlett, the librarian.
thank you. Yes. That was a really fun episode because I do love playing with like that kind of, when the party splits up, I think a lot of people get a little nervous as GMs because it's a lot to juggle. And sometimes I think what can happen is you'll have one person sitting to the side, not doing anything while other people are doing stuff. But thankfully, because it's a small crew and I've done this for a while, it's so moments like that where you've got Cappy going in. I think there was something where like y'all mentioned somebody. I feel like it was like, oh, like we can't tell Cappy or something. And then we smash cut to Cappy busting down the librarian.
Yeah.
Like, I want to talk to you, librarian.
And tell me that you don't think that if you told Cappy how much you loved him, that he would whisk you away from this town faster than you could say apple.
She thinks for a second.
Cut 2. Cappy burst through the library. Listen, librarian.
Oh, hello.
Don't think that I'm here to whisk you away and take you to the apple. There's something going on here, and you're going to tell me what it is.
I think it's also like to puff up Joe's ego a little
Wait,
bit.
no, cut it.
No.
Cut it.
No.
Cut this,
I
cut this,
think
cut
you.
this.
Yeah, don't say nice things about Joe.
Yeah, we
Oh
don't say
yeah,
nice things
sorry.
about Joe.
Joe doesn't like nice things said about him. Timing was all I was going to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take my compliment.
Yeah, we need like, you know how in like the business world or whatever, after something, you're like, what were our roses and thorns and buds, right?
yeah.
We need
Oh,
something.
God.
We need something like that for these talkbacks of
yeah,
like
roses and thorns.
something Daggerheart related, a
How
hope and a
about-
fear.
Hopes and fears and experiences.
Okay, I can see that.
That's good. I
Yeah.
like that.
So yeah, I have a hope then for Annie, which is that I have a feeling that if I were to look back at me editing the episodes, I feel like crank one-liners get the biggest laughs out of me because the loudest I laughed was in this finale when talking about the car that I introduced and said 2 wheels and not 4. Like Joe was like, "Oh, we should keep this car. We should take it." And in my brain, I'm like, I didn't actually think about the fact they could just get in the car and drive away. I wonder what I'll do if that happens. And then Annie solves the problem immediately. I crash
Competition.
into it, destroy it, and say, that was a threat. That was a threat, right?
We prepare and take the car.
Take the car where?
I just want to drive it. Look how cool it looks.
I think Crank is running so fast that he kind of just barrels into the car and knocks it over.
Oh.
You're a small explosion. That's the car.
That was a threat, right?
Annie's ability to deliver the one-liners completely in character
Yeah.
floors me every time. Like it's just so like perfectly Crank and not. There's no like I feel like I hype up a joke a lot or like I'll try to like really lead up into it. And Annie will just out of nowhere just bop and then
Just like
it's just perfect every time.
That's
Yeah,
like a
incredible.
critical hit, like a sniper, just
Yeah.
coming in with those one liners.
What can I say? My wit is my best trait. I don't know.
Hell yeah. Truly, because I think one of my favorites, so like from the beginning of this, and we might talk about like how this all started in a second, but I will say from the beginning when Rowan approached me with the character of choice and said, yeah, their last name is Droop and they're a nut farmer. The joke is right there. The joke is right there for the taking. No, I gotta let it sit because I was like, I need him to talk about nutting, but I need him to do it when he's either really mad or really sad.
Mhm.
And so it was perfect timing when it was just the dad and Craig, and Craig's asking about magic, and a somewhat dejected, sad Droop patriarch is like,
Craig, I've been nutting for years. My father nutted. His father nutted. And my children will nut for the rest of their lives.
The fact that we made it 6 episodes without
6 episodes without a
Absolutely.
nut joke.
without a nut joke.
that's the restraint. 'Cause
When-
that's the restraint. It's
It's
so
all about the
important.
timing, as we said earlier.
It is
Exactly.
all about the timing.
Even the prologue, like if you go and look, the only episode that doesn't have an explicit warning on it is the prologue. Because that's how long we made it into this without just turning into absolute degenerates.
I mean, it happened real quick because the
Oh,
turnip. Because to explain the turnip, I'm not a freak. Okay, the turnip. I was thinking like, oh, he's just like a little guy. He's just like, oh, I'm just a little turnip. I'm just a little guy.
You don't hear it?
You don't hear
No.
I was so warm and comfy.
This is so sexual.
I was just so protected.
Uh-huh.
And next thing I know, I hear a rumbling so hard. Eventually, I got
Am I supposed to be turned on?
ripped.
Well, like, because I'm in the moment, I'm juggling 10 things, so I'm like, it's just a little guy turnip, and then you come in. I swear, when we recorded it, it was so much earlier than it actually is. Where you're like, is this supposed to be sexual? And I was like, well, of course, this is an offering. My scene partner has given me a scene, and so I will lean into it. And then the sexy turnip was born, and now that's every turnip. It's just going to
Every
be
turnip's
every
Yeah.
time.
Every turnip is just
An ash
so
tree.
horny.
Yeah, just so breathy.
Just so breathy.
But yeah, speaking of which, like we started this a couple months ago at this point, kind of from nowhere. Like, how are y'all feeling now between like episode 1 and now episode 16, the finale? Like, how has the game sort of changed for y'all?
I will say I love D&D. It was my original start into role playing, and I love the numbers and I love the dice rolling, and I love being creative within that. I think that Daggerheart specifically gives you a lot more freedom to kind of storytell and be creative because it has that hope and fear dynamic. So whether or not you succeed or fail, you still have that creativity to have something good or something bad happen.
Yeah.
So, and I think it lends itself really well to collaborative storytelling.
Yeah.
And I love that about it.
Yeah.
Also, like the spells as well, specifically. D&D, I'm not a person that can do spells because you have to memorize what all of them do and all the contingencies. And this one, it gives you a little bit more ability to be creative, like you said, because I don't know if the people listening can figure out, but a dodo is not typically something that you could beast form into or something that you can beast form into and make weird. But with Daggerheart, I was able to kind of like basically flavor it that way and make the character more unique in that way. So yeah, it makes the things that I'm a little bit more apprehensive in trying easier, I guess, to jump into. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, so I mean, I was adopted by this group. Like I've never played any TTRPG until Isaac adopted me. And when did you adopt me? 21, maybe?
Because
20?
it was a friend of ours was running Curse of Strahd.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't have I always knew it was something I wanted to be a part of, and I just had never like ended up in the right circles, I think. So Isaac adopted me, and I had a bunch of fun. And then when he put together this gang when we played a couple years ago, I think for his birthday.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Mhm.
I forced
Yeah.
y'all to come and play
Yeah.
with me on my birthday.
Yeah,
So you can't say
Isaac
no.
did an Avengers seek out from different groups
Yeah.
birthday.
Yeah, but when we did that, that was also a pretty big game changer for me. And like, oh, like this can really be fun and different. And so like Daggerheart, when we started playing that with that campaign from the beta that we did, I definitely lean more towards kind of like as a newer player, I felt like it awarded me a lot more ability to try new things and kind of really understand the game and stuff. So
For sure. Because when we played with y'all, I say we, when I played with y'all the very first time, it was definitely an off the wall sort of idea that I had. And y'all like took it and ran with it in a way where I was like, yes, this is fun. This is good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the first moment we really decided that like we work really well together.
Yeah.
Like we play off each other really well.
Yeah.
Honestly.
What was what was the one shot? I can't remember.
So I had just played Disco Elysium. And so we did a one shot where y'all were musicians
Yeah.
coming back to the city of Reverie within like the world of Disco Elysium, which was Revachol, but it was called Reverie. And you were trying to find your mentor because y'all were a band. And I just remember like at the very start, y'all came in with such strong personalities and characters.
Well, we did
And-
like the Scooby-Doo live action movie where like we were a band at one point, but then had like since broken
Yeah.
up. And
Yeah.
the mentor thing is what got us back together. That was fun.
Yeah.
And really, we have Joe to thank for the podcast because after we played that one Daggerheart campaign, Joe was like,
Yeah, Joe just like ran with it.
truly, Joe sold it. Basically, like Joe said, we should do a podcast. And Annie was like, that sounds fun. And then me and Rowan were both like, I don't know.
Sure.
I remember Isaac was the one that I had to like really sell.
Honestly.
Sale.
Sale.
Because I was
lived in
like,
the South too long.
because it was like, if I'm gonna be a GM, like having it recorded is a lot of work. But I think the thing that got me was I was like, well, I don't expect this to go anywhere. So all it's
yeah.
gonna be
Yeah.
is this will
I
just
don't think any of us expected it to
No.
go anywhere.
Right.
yeah, like
I was like,
I was just like, this is gonna be a good way for me to like have recorded sessions so that I can go back and listen
Right.
to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's that quote where it's like, if I knew how hard it was when
Yeah.
we started, I would never do it.
yeah.
I mean, like
Yeah.
this has been so incredibly rewarding, but yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
let's start a podcast. I had no idea. I had absolutely no clue the amount of just like learning how audio works and editing and doing all of
Yeah.
that. And so
Yeah.
I mean, it's been like I said, super rewarding. I mean, I've had an absolute blast doing it, truly.
Yeah.
So I'm almost glad that we didn't know that much when we started,
Honestly.
right? I mean, we kind of just
Yeah.
did it and then had
and now
to
we're
figure
here.
it out.
Yeah, we
if-
kind of figured out as we were going.
If I knew how awful the sounds that my mouth would make as I'm listening to it back, I would have said, no, I will never edit because I cannot give myself such a complex. But now I'm drinking lots of water. I'm staying hydrated.
Look, it's good for your skin, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, it's funny because like when we first met up for the podcast, right? It was like, yeah, why not? We were in my like library / craft room in the just like a really small room. We were like, this will just be like a session 0. It'll just be like a little one shot thing. Like,
Well, I had just gotten the mics. I remember it was
Yeah.
like 3 days before. So this was like October or wait, no. Yeah, this was October.
Yeah,
October, yeah.
October.
So we had just gotten the mics and like 3 days later, we're like, we'll test out the mics. We'll do a session 0
yeah.
See how it goes.
and
See how
it'll
it
never
goes.
see the light of day.
Yeah.
Was the
Yeah.
whole thing. And then that ended up becoming
the first three
First
episodes.
3
the first 3,
episodes.
the prologue and then the sexy turnip and Unstoppable Crank,
Unstoppable Mr.
The Hill Gators.
the
Yep.
Eel Gators. So
Yeah, because I don't know. We just had such good energy, I feel like, because we were all like, nah, this isn't going to go out. Who cares? We're just talking in a mic. We're just having fun. Yeah, I'll make a weird voice for a turnip. Why not? Oh, my goodness. But then we were like, this is so good. We'll just start here and then take off with it. So,
Yeah.
yep.
but yeah, because I remember starting off, it was like everyone was thinking, like, what are the characters going to be?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure, like, in session 0, we didn't include it in the episode where we sat down and did all the connections and things, but y'all had your own sort of ideas that we came with. And we pretty much came to the table with those ideas. Y'all had sent me a few things beforehand, like backstories of varying lengths. But when we came to the table, it was like we just did all the connections. We figured out what everyone was at. And then we just sort of started. And now look at us. Now look how it's
Now
all come together. But that's one thing I do like about Daggerheart coming from it as a GM is that, not to get too far into how, like, my thoughts on Daggerheart, but I will say it's very important to have characters who kind of know each other, right?
Mhm.
Because if you coming in with a bunch of people who like have no indication of each other, it's really hard to mesh well.
Mhm.
If you're doing like a campaign, like you have to play through a lot of them, like learning each other and everything. And it's so much easier if you just start kind of knowing each other, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just things you kind of know about each other.
Mhm.
That starts the players off on something they can work with. And so the fact that Daggerheart does that right up front, where it's like, how do you know each other,
Right.
really helps with just like starting the party out on a foot that you can work on and build on.
Yeah.
Which I really like. And that's what we did at the table. We didn't record it, but that's what we did at the table.
Yeah.
And you can see, I think, a lot of that in, in the development of each other. So,
Right.
For sure.
but yeah. So what's everyone's favorite? I have to know, what's everyone's favorite moment from all of season 1?
I have to say, the soft of rope is our best joke. That's my favorite thing we've ever done.
We learned what a handful of money is.
Yeah.
How much is a soft of rope?
A soft of rope?
That's in my equipment. I have a soft of rope.
a soft of rope? Okay.
Oh my god, I do too. Wait, no,
Wait.
I think that says 50 feet, man.
Oh, that's a real life term?
Truly.
You have always been the biggest advocate.
It's
it's
that.
Spencer's favorite joke too. So it's like it looked like
It
soft
did.
of rope,
It
like-
really did, because I looked at it after you looked at it and I was like, oh, wait, me
Yeah.
too. Wait a second.
Wait a minute.
Wait, 'cause all 3 of us have some sort of like, because we're all using demiplane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like we were all, you started out with a soft of rope in your adventurer's kit, and so all of us were looking at the kerning of it, and we were like, oh yeah, wait a second.
Kevin will get you.
I just like it made. I was like, oh, look at them. They're just doing another new like a handful of money. Like we're not going to do gold or silver like coins. It's just a handful or whatever. Like a soft of rope makes perfect sense.
Or soft of gauze.
Uh,
Now it's just like
And yeah, now it's just ingrained in our entire
Just a
campaign.
unit of measurement. And if you tie 2 softs together, that's a medium.
Oh,
Nice.
3 is
Yep.
a
And
hard.
then
it
you
is.
can have a seance.
Yep.
Oh my god! But truly, I did Control F the word "soft" into the PDF beta rules and found nothing, and was like, "What is he talking about?" Oh my goodness!
Unfortunately, isn't it gonna be 50 feet now? So it's
Yeah,
gone.
it's so feet.
It's never
so
going to be
feet.
gone. It's
We-
always going to be a
I was
soft.
It's
we
always
don't,
in
still
our
don't know
hearts.
that yet.
yeah.
I'm always going to call it a soft.
But if you listen to this show, that's maybe the only thing I ask is that anytime going forward, if you have a chance to say a soft, even if like your GM has no idea what the fuck you're talking about, fucking do it. Just make this live on forever.
Yes, please.
And in a ludo narrative sense, right? It would make a lot of real world sense that if a unit of measurement that is in every adventuring pack is 50 feet, they would have a word for it. I'm sure.
Mhm.
Like we have what furlongs and leagues and for all kinds of crazy measurements that made sense in the like 1700s.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
A skein, I think.
yep.
Um,
Skeins. Anyways, The soft is good. My favorite moment.
Yeah.
I felt like you were going to ask me this, and I was thinking of a couple on the way over here. But
Yeah.
the only one that's coming to my mind now is your Dodoborne reveal.
Oh my
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Don't ever doubt the power of stories. That's right, it's me. You see how Isaac Allen Burns told of you. Everything has purpose. No such thing as coincidence, people. That's right, keep your eyes and ears open. I'm 2 steps ahead of you at all times. When you think you got me figured out, I'm 5 steps ahead of you.
Oh my god.
Can I tell y'all?
Just because I want to tell you my point of view first, and then you can tell us how you rework the whole fucking thing. When we sat down in a bar to talk about this podcast, and we were like, let's try to think of a name.
Right. Oh yes.
I actually think, if I'm not wrong, you guys can correct me, but I think it was Annie that came up with the name. We were sitting down, and I remember I had a name, and I wanted it to be something born. I think I just wanted to take one of the Borns from the book and go do that. And the argument was it wasn't goofy enough, or it didn't show that we were going to be a comedy.
Right. The idea was that it's a 2d12 system. So a d12 is a dodecahedron. And so it was 2 of those. And so it was dodecahedron.
Oh.
So that's where Dodo came from. And I don't remember whose idea it originally was. I think Rowan and I were just throwing around words and
I think
it just came out.
No, that's coming back. I think you said that. And then I think that's when Rowan, you locked onto it and was like, well, then I'm going to be a
because
Dodo
it was
for my beast form.
It's 2 dodecahedrons, so Dodo, which is then where I went, oh, I'm going to be a Dodo at the entirety of everything.
So we did that, and then we laughed, and that was the end of it. And we were like, okay, well, it'll come up, and it'll be a part of the show. And then it will still just be whatever else happens around it, right?
Right.
And so I even in the first couple episodes when, Cappy and Crank are doing the bit where Cappy's like, yeah, do you have any knowledge of dodos in that brain of yours? And we basically decide that dodos went extinct, except for how you went, how you turn into one. I never gave it a second thought. I was just Pistachio read a book, turned into a dodo.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't us planting seeds or any no fucking. And then Isaac to just come out of, and you were so cool about it. You never once hinted.
Yeah.
You never once fucking allured.
Yep.
And then to find out that there was these helpers of the gods and that they were the Dodoborne. I mean, even right now, I'm I kind of have chills about it. It just blew my fucking brain. Just completely.
Yeah.
It, I really wanted the Burns venture to happen, but we like Dodo. We like Dodoborne better. I really pushed for Burns venture.
Experience.
The Burns experience. Isaac and friends.
Okay, where's that needle to deflate your head a bit?
But yeah, it one thing I love doing is just making a little note of something that someone says offhand, and then fully bringing it back around in full force later. I did that twice to y'all because I did it first with Dodoborne. And then I did it with Apple People.
Yeah.
Because I had the thought of I should probably ask Joe what Scarlett's last name is. And then I was for some reason listening back to it. I think I was listening to it with my partner and I was like, wait a minute. Wait, we did name them actually.
We don't have apple for lunch, and also my dad doesn't like the Apple People very much.
He doesn't like the Apple People.
You don't like the Apple People?
You don't like the Apple People?
You can hear this, and I think when I do bring that up, when I name him and there is quiet afterwards, that is real quiet of everyone being like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no, I didn't get it at all.
No.
Well, but you do that but also Rowan and I have talked about this. Annie, I don't know if we've talked about it, but also when you name other things, I don't always get the joke. For example, the Apple People, yeah, I didn't get that. But also I made it an embarrassingly long amount of time before I realized that Nephany and Nathaniel was Stephanie and Nathaniel, just with the front of the words. My wife was listening to the podcast and she was like, oh, that's so clever, Stephanie and Nathaniel. And I was like, what? It's Nephany and Nathaniel. And she's like, no, I know. But they just switched and I fucking edited that episode. I spent hours with that episode and just no clue.
But then again, your wife is also dropping hard, awesome
theories.
She's
got hard lore theories that whenever we hang out with Isaac, she she puts him in a corner real quick. He'll like stop. He'll like he won't look her in the eye. He'll like
Yeah, I just kind of have to like not look because
be like, that's
try not to
interesting.
get-
Oh,
You,
wow.
that's an interesting theory.
Like, wow, that's a cool theory. I won't comment on that. It's good to know that my breadcrumbs are being picked up, and I'm like, wait, what? Huh?
Yeah, I don't know what breadcrumbs you're talking about. I don't know. I don't know what the heck is going on.
What's really great about a podcast format is that in like later seasons, when things get revealed, people will be able to listen to these first seasons and be like, wait a minute, hey.
I'm sure I'll do that. I'm sure I'll come back and
Yeah, I'm
listen
sure
to
I'll
this
do
in
it.
like 10 years and I'll be like, wait a second. He
Wait
was
a-
setting us up the whole time.
Maybe.
And that was, I mean,
Maybe.
just to be clear, I mean, I know we're like circling back, but that was the goal of this. I remember it
Yeah.
was like, we were like, we'll do this. If people like it, cool. Worst case scenario, we'll have something that we can like listen back on. and
Exactly.
That would be fun.
I still wish we had recorded the Barnacle Adventures.
Me too.
Yes.
Like,
yeah,
oh.
Annie is Barnacle.
Oh my God, yes.
It was so great. The fun thing about that was like because we started on the Sablewood Adventure. We did that one with the Whitefire Arcanist and whatever. And I wanted to like kind of keep it going, just to like try a little mini adventure, 6 episodes at most. And there's some default maps that came with the beta that I really hope there are more of. And one of them had a floating island in the sky.
Mhm.
And ever since I played Chrono Trigger at the tender young age of whenever I played it, I have the Kingdom of Zeal did something to my brain where now I love floating cities in the sky. So I was like, well, I want to run this adventure solely to use this map to have a floating city in the sky. So we did like a little 5-episode thing.
I like how you call it episodes now. Like we weren't even recording.
Sessions.
We're even recording.
5 sessions.
5 thank you. 5 sessions in Arc 0.
Arc
True
Zero.
sessions. That's what's fun though with Daggerheart, especially, is that I've started whenever I do like a one shot or whenever I do a campaign, I started out with asking the players questions to set the scene. Like whenever I do a one shot, which it'll start, they'll walk up and I'll be like, so and so, like describe your character. What do they look like? What's their name? What are they doing right now? And then I'll ask what happened last night that has everyone on edge, right? Or sometimes if they're a newer player, I'll ask, what's the weather like? Is it really stormy? Is it really sunny? Just to give people like softballs to start thinking in terms of setting the stage and having the freedom to input nouns and adjectives into the world. And Daggerheart pretty much allows you to do, it's built into the system, that expectation you do that, where instead of prepping proper nouns, as I call it, like instead of prepping the people and the places and the things, I prep questions to ask y'all to help set the stage, which is such a great way of, I think, thinking about being at the table in a more collaborative setting. Is what are some questions I can ask to get y'all to give really evocative information that y'all can take charge of and work however you want, but also gives me enough information to also build off of. So it, like for instance, in one of the sessions in that beginning one, y'all were in a swamp that Barnacle was from, and there was a town right next to it. And before that session, I was thinking like, well, what would the relationship between the swamp and like the town be? Like, I should really think like, would they not like, are they trying to develop the swamp? And then I did that for like 2 minutes and realized, oh, I know what I actually do. I just ask Annie to tell me what's the relationship between your people and the town. And I can ask the other two, like, what was the last time you were here like? And then it really built from that. So yeah, it's some good times. That was good times.
So in case you're gonna show up at Isaac's Gen Con sessions, that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna ask you questions.
He's going to come and ask you questions. So
Yeah.
come with answers.
Yeah, be prepared.
Be prepared. If you come to Dodo's in Paradise, which I just want to be clear, I realized after I sent them in that the naming convention I did use does make it seem like they're continual sessions. They're definitely not. I just wanted to have them named differently and be funny.
Yeah.
And sometimes being funny gets me in trouble, I tell y'all. Oh my god! But Rowan, have we heard your favorite moment in the?
Oh, no, we hadn't. I was vamping, letting you guys keep vamping so I could have time to think about it. But I have 2, I think, favorite moments, and both of them are the conflicts. So one of them is coming up the stairs after the pumpkin squishing head, where Crank and Pistachio have that moment.
And then he was asking about a replacement. And then, like, what if I was the replacement? And I had to be chained down there. And he didn't even know about the Apple Festival.
I'm just going to put my hand on Pistachio's shoulder and like kneel down on like the step below them. Like, I would never let you become a replacement.
And then the second one is when Cappy and Pistachio have their disagreement. And I think part of that is because both of those are very heavy, tense situations. And I don't know if you guys can tell, I get very into the role play pieces of it. And I think it requires having such trust in your other role play partners to take it somewhere and give them, because those were real tears. I was in character, and to take that there and have it safe and have you like bump up and have it be a real moment was a truly special and awe-inspiring like piece of that delivery. So like I'm thinking of those two specific ones. Yeah. So
Yeah, no, I agree. Because I think like, and I don't know, like Crank, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like, Crank's always just like, I'm just going to go in and fuck this thing up. So like, yeah, Crank just goes like and squishes ahead.
Yep. Yeah, but I mean, I remember after that when Rowan reacted like that, I was sitting here like, oh my God, Rowan's mad at me. Like, I was like, I did something really, really like fucked up. I need to like talk to Pistachio about that. And so like, I remember being like, all right, when we walk up the stairs, I'm going to ask Pistachio if they're mad at me, because I'm like kind of afraid that someone's mad at me right now.
But it's like, that's like, it was just like, I don't know. It was cool that you took it to that level of like, okay, we did a thing, but like, what are the actual ramifications of when a war robot designed to do this actually does the thing they're designed to do in front of an innocent small town farmer, basically.
Yeah.
That hasn't seen anything like that.
Right.
And what are the implications of the character going forward? Because that's the meat of it, right? Is I studied psychology in school, and so there was a point in time when Rowan would have been a psychologist, and then I was like, nope. So the like deep like mental pieces, and specifically how it connects and bonds other people, is the really deep part that I like about playing TTRPGs, that I think makes it stand out more than any other game or medium that you can really have. And the fact that we really did hit that, not only did we go there, but we were safe and we came back out of it safely. And then it didn't affect Annie and I are still friends. Joe and I are still friends. We're great once the mics are off. It was like that was at the table. We left it there, and we got to have a cathartic moment, and then still go on and drink beers and laugh afterwards. And I think that's the pieces that I like the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really helpful as a GM to see those moments, because there's trust there that things at the table can stay at the table, and then that doesn't bleed in like outside. Because then as me, the GM, who's sort of having to be the arbiter of those things, it gives me a sense of like how y'all would react to certain things. Because obviously in like a session 0, we talk about like, what are some boundaries, what are some lines and veils, what are some things we don't want to see. But like even still, like sometimes even in the session, things can change. People can feel certain ways. So just seeing y'all go into those like tense moments, me just sitting there like eyes kind of wide, just not saying anything, and knowing y'all can go through that and it like come out the other side both as characters and people is really that's why I love this table. That's why I love this crew.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we do like, I guess debrief afterwards of just like, hey, we're good. Like we use a lot of safety tools here too, and that's I think part of the way that we can make it safe at the table.
I think most of us also have anxiety too, so that
Yeah.
helps out.
I mean, like, who doesn't have anxiety at this table?
Right.
This table is possibly the 4 most anxious people I know in my life. It works really well.
All of us are in therapy. Wait, most of us are in therapy.
Oh, get roasted, Joe.
I know. Your token straight hasn't gone to therapy.
Wow, that's so. I'm
really,
so surprised.
I'm really playing into the stereotypes.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I think my favorite moment of the entire podcast was being able to sit on a miles per hour joke for maybe the entire time and no one pick up what it was.
Wait,
the
what?
yellow fawn until I introduced the red fawn Knuckles. Yeah, you're able to get up. One of the younger bartenders comes up. It's a fawn with like red fur.
Mhm.
Goes by Knuckles and is like, I'll fill you up. Here you go. You're the one who likes milk, right? You want something different? You look kind of bummed. And that was really great. I can't wait for y'all to meet a blue fawn and then us immediately get like shot from space by copyright if I say the word Sonic or try to put on a voice. You'll find a blue fawn who's holding a chili dog and you'll be like, wait a minute.
He's got
Wait
red
a
shoes.
minute.
You think
He's
that's
got
very
red
strange?
shoes. He has one eye, surprisingly, if you look close. So like watch out for that.
Mm.
He's a Cyclops mix.
Yo, speaking of Cyclops, as in one, as in what? Guess what, y'all? We have some
Wow.
I'm trying
questions.
to watch you to make this connection.
Hang on, let me try that again.
Okay.
Speaking of gotta go fast, we quickly received some questions from people who have been watching the show who want to hear about some things. So check it out.
Oh wow, he's got a color-coded spreadsheet.
I did
The
see.
organization.
I can see from far away that it is.
I cannot see
color-coded.
because
Look at
I am
that.
on the back side of the laptop. Oh
pretty.
wow!
Yeah.
Look at that.
This is
color-coded.
great.
Who's which
podcast
color?
I think the colors have to do with like what kind of questions they are,
Hmm.
and so
This is great podcast content.
yeah.
Yo, listen, Shaboy is an engineer, so I love spreadsheets. So, you know,
That's
I didn't
true.
say it on socials, but if at any point in time any of you have any questions about water resource engineering,
God.
any 1D, 2D hydrologic or
my
hydraulic
God.
modeling questions, please send them our way. ICM or HECRAS, let me know.
Nerd.
So anyway.
Nerd.
Oh my gosh.
So, anyways, the first one, to give a nice, easy one, a little softball up, we had a question from Tat2 on Discord asking us, what's y'all's recording process like? Do you have a structure you follow for each episode, or do you all just wing it? Joe, you want to answer that one?
I would say we more align with Wing It.
I definitely wing it.
Yeah.
I never have any idea what's going on. I just say the first thing that pops into my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like recording structure, I mean, truthfully, we don't even know what Isaac's going to do when we sit down. So
True.
like, you know, when Isaac does like a cool thing, like start the episode with like the Apple Festival, and he, you know, he's like taking you through the town. We're just sitting here listening to Isaac. We, you know, he didn't like tell us he was doing that beforehand.
Yeah.
Even when we do the recaps, he just does them, and then yeah, we all kind of react. So I don't think there's a ton of recording structure. Usually we sit down, we record, and then
Usually Rowan sets up the stuff before everybody gets here after work, and then we like sit around, some of us drink something, and then we start recording.
yeah, but not too much.
Not too much.
That's right. Because if you drink too much, then your mouth will pop in the mic.
Your mouth will pop. Where like I noticed, like there was that one night we were like having some fun.
We drank too many Red
and
Oaks.
it was hot toddies, I thought.
Oh, it was hot
Oh, yeah,
toddy.
Because it was a
Toddy
cold
night.
night. It was a hot toddy. Not only that,
Ooh.
but like we had a lot of nerves when we first started recording. Like I remember
yeah.
the session 0 stuff was, again, like we never thought it was going to see the light of day. We thought we would start and our characters would alert back to things that happened there, but we would never actually release it.
Right.
But the moment it was like, oh, this is actually going to go out,
We
and
were
we
all
hit record, we all got
nerds.
kind of
Mhm.
weird a little bit. And it was just
Yeah.
like, it didn't feel like there was like, I remember we actually had to stop and go outside
Yeah,
once
yep.
and be like, let's just reset
Yeah.
completely.
Because that's when we did have a plan. Like we had a plan for recording. Because like that session 0 stuff, that was never going to be released. And so we were like, well, we have to bring some of that back in into episode 1 so people know like our backgrounds and stuff. So we went into it with a plan of like, we have to like say our backgrounds. So honestly, we're just not that kind of a group. We fly by the seat of our pants here. That's what we do.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when we recorded that, we cut the whole thing. It's we refer to it at the table as the lost episode because
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
a whole session
Yeah.
where
It was bad, y'all.
it just didn't feel like us. It didn't feel like how we normally play, and that was really at the end of the day like what we were trying to keep the most is just we play how we would always play, whether there's mics or not.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I guess that's actually, Annie, that's a great point. The answer to the question is no, there is no structure.
Yeah.
We sit down and we play like we just would play.
Yeah. We
Mhm.
come over on whatever nights it is. We pal around for a couple minutes, then we turn on our mics and go. And that's it.
Mhm.
4 mics on 2 folding tables
With a
With
comforter on top of it.
comforter on
Yeah,
top.
I do need to
Um,
get you guys a picture of like what it looks like because, yeah, it's, I mean, it's definitely,
It's cobbled together.
yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, we
Yep.
did the best we could. Because I remember even that stage or that session 0 we recorded, and it was like there was just a lot of echo and like bumps. I was like, oh, we got to like pad it, and that's how we figured out the comforter. And it was on one table. It was like, oh, we need more space between the mics because
Yep.
mic bleed. So it became 2 tables, and
Oh, and then there was Joe walking around my house, like snapping, trying to figure out which room was the
Did I
best
do that?
room to fit to record in.
Did
'cause
I
at
do that?
first, yes. Because at first we were gonna use
it
the,
really is
like,
incredible you put up with me.
I love it so much, Joe. You do not
It's
understand.
so funny.
You, we were first gonna use the like junk room, and then we were gonna use like my library, and then now we're in.
I just can't
my
imagine
l-
not sitting here.
I know, right? It's so cozy. This is my living room. Yeah, and now this is where we're at.
Next question we have is from Squid in Space on Blue Sky, who asks, what were your inspirations for each of your characters? Was it any of the character options you saw or specific media that gave you fun ideas?
I'm not taking that first.
You're not taking it first. Annie.
Okay, sure. So before we started this, I played a little bit of Eberron with a friend of mine, and I had a character that I really was into who was like an artificer warforged, and I really liked exploring what like his whole deal was, and that whole campaign fizzled out, and I was very sad about it. So coming into like Daggerheart and thinking about a character that I wanted to play, you know, I was looking at the ancestries and the communities that are included with Daggerheart, and like obviously like Clank really spoke to me because I was really enjoying playing my Warforged, and I was like, what makes the most sense for Clank to be? And that's a guardian. But like, what if I turned that all on its head and made him want to be something that he just wasn't built for? And that's a wizard. So I went with like, that was my like first idea, was like, I want to play like a war robot that wants to become a wizard. And then I kind of built my backstory around that.
Which is such a good.
That's actually interesting you bring that up because, not to interrupt everyone else's story, but Smash My Foot on Blue Sky actually had a question specifically for you, Annie. I think this is the question. I think it's a bold choice to play a character who wants to be a wizard while choosing a character class without the capacity to actually cast any spells. Going into the campaign, did you expect Crank to ever be able to learn magic, or was it more so a pie in the sky hope that you never expect to be fulfilled?
I think I expect it to be fulfilled in some capacity because like that's something that I really want for Crank, and like I trust Isaac to like lead me to that however he may see fit. I do think it is going to happen. It's just a matter of how and when. So I never really thought if it was a pie in the sky. I never thought it was impossible.
When the turnip whispers back to you, that's also one of my favorite.
Oh yeah, that's up there.
And it's still horny, yeah.
It's still horny.
If I think that they're both asleep, I'm gonna pull out that rotten turnip that I have, and I'm gonna like hold it up to my ear antenna thing. I'm gonna be like, "Hello, can you hear me? Are you there?"
You swear you hear the faintest?
Yo, you can try. Listen, I can't wait to find out what happens.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
That turnip is still in you.
Let's not. I need to throw that turnip away. Oh my God. I got the heebie-jeebies from that turnip.
I also think it was a great opportunity when you had the idea of he's a robot who wants to learn magic. Something that you get to do as a GM is when your player character really wants something, it's not obviously to sort of bait and switch that, but it is to give them an option that could be dangerous or deleterious to that character. So for instance, the staff that Crank currently has, right?
Yeah. That's my red button.
It's your
You
red
gave me a
button.
big red button.
Gave you a big red button to do
And for some
magic.
reason, you're
That
not
you didn't
pushing.
push. I swore you were going to push in the
I'm
finale.
so glad you didn't. That's the only thing that saved our ass.
I mean, yeah, but I swore you were like, okay.
Joe wanted it so bad.
I did.
Joe wanted
So
it
did Isaac, apparently.
So did Isaac. I gave you
Wow.
3. Oh my
We got
gosh.
2 devils over here.
But I succeeded on all my checks. So
You succeeded all 3.
Let's go.
Yeah, not to say what I thought was going to happen in the finale, but I will say that this is why I won't release the environment that I built for it, because there could still be some spoilers in there for anything that happens in the next season. But there was an additional countdown that was going on behind the scenes that would have immediately ended if the staff had been used. Joe, same question to you. What was the inspiration for Cappy?
So, as Rowan has pointed out, I'm the only one not actively in therapy. So, and I know that this is.
Rowan is dying.
I didn't think it was that funny. Joe's not in therapy. And I know that there's I feel like I approach it in a healthy way. I know that this is kind of a debate, but there are certain parts of a TTRPG with a safe crew,
Right.
like I have here, that I will infuse some of my own therapy in. I actually don't think I've ever told you guys this, but like at the time, Cappy when Cappy started, he was a guy at the Adventures Guild that's been in one spot too long. And he, kind of just understood the motion. He knew what to do, and he was kind of like over it, and it was kind of showing, I think, in his work and how he approached his recruits and, how he treated every situation. And I was kind of feeling aligned like that with my job, so, I mean, I still liked my job, but I've since moved from that job into another job, but I definitely, at the time, I didn't see that path forward, and I definitely knew that it was time to do something, and I just wasn't sure what that was. So the idea of a guy that is a little bit stuck, he feels, and kind of lashes out in the various ways that Cappy tends to, was really resonated with me. So I think that was a big piece of Cappy.
It's actually interesting you bring that up because there is a question that was sent specifically for you, Joe, regarding Cappy, also by Smash My Foot on
Shout out Smash My Foot.
Blue Sky. I love Cappy's portrayal as a flawed, insecure character. What advice would you have for adding depth to PC's NPCs like you did?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think the first thing to call out though is I have just always aligned more when I watch things to that type of character. I really like a flawed character that sometimes rides the line. It's like, are you a good or bad person? I always want them to end up being a good person.
Yeah.
But that's what I tend to lean towards, or that's what grabs me the most. So I don't know. I think my advice would be go with what grabs you the most, but you always have to ask the question, like, there's always the surface, what do I want? But really, what's that second or third layer with what you're actually saying from wanting that?
Nice. Yeah. Flawed characters are fun to play. As long as it doesn't bother everyone else at the table.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think you do a good job of it. I think you do a good job of
He
telling
gets
the
close.
He gets
No, I'm telling y'all.
I try so hard to bother Rowan.
I'm telling you, I'm a Cappy apologist, and I know a lot of people are
Cappy's
too.
a bad guy sometimes.
Yeah, I know, but I think
You don't
he's
need to
got
apologize for Cappy.
No, I think he's got a good heart. I don't know.
We'll see.
I just love a little broken man.
I mean, he's average. Right?
He's a little broken man.
Little. It's average.
He's a average broken man.
Right.
Rowan can fix him. See, and I prey on Cappy's downfall. Like every bad decision I think Cappy made, from everything with Neffany, I just had the biggest smile on my face.
That was the worst decisions ever.
I feel like you checked in with yourself and was like, what was the worst thing I could do here? Oh, I know.
No, I did.
I'm sorry. I laughed so hard listening back to Cappy in the middle of a battle being like, I think we should break up.
Neffany, are you okay?
You hear, fuck, ow.
Yeah, that was
Aim for the enemies.
Yeah,
Cappy.
Yeah, okay. Would you say, really quick, would being angrier help you fight?
What are you talking about?
I just, I'm gonna help you, but I think that maybe we should break up. That was I remember I was so proud of that decision in the moment. And then Isaac flipped it and made her brokenhearted. And I felt my stomach sink. My heart sank to my stomach.
This man got his anxiety. He was like, oh no.
Because I was like, that's such a funny choice. And then I immediately felt terrible about it, which might be the most Joe-coded thing ever.
See, I definitely did turn on you
100%.
because you rolled high on your presence check. Because when I asked for that roll, the downside, the fail state of that was she turns on you and attacks you, which definitely would have been funny.
That would have been funny.
It would have been funny, but I was like, you rolled really well. So it's the best thing I think that can happen here is that Neffany just gets away from Cappy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what happened.
Well,
so
see,
I really leaned in. I even cut
that
out a
is
little
good.
bit of how much I leaned into she's heartbroken. She's so
Damn,
sad.
did you?
I cut out a little bit of it
Damn.
because it was.
I don't think I could have taken much more of it. I must have really felt bad in the seat. I thought I could help make her mad, and she was gonna just go nuts and kill all the bad guys, and then maybe be by the way, Cappy, fuck you, and then leave. That was what I was hoping for. Was she was gonna really just take out the baddies for me.
Yeah.
Although she is a baddie. I
She
didn't
is
think
a-
she was that big of a baddie until Emma drew her, which if you haven't seen the doodle
Oh
online.
my God,
um,
Emma.
Shout out Emma.
Shout out Emma.
Yeah, Neffany Wolf.
Yeah, nothing wrong.
I
Yeah.
think you've pretty much said that about like
Every woman.
every NPC that's been drawn so far.
Okay, Joe.
Scarlet.
Okay, Joe. Fuck, marry, kill. Scarlet,
Wait.
Pistachio's mom, and Neffany.
Ooh, wait. Fuck, marry, kill. Scarlet, Pistachio's mom, Neffany.
Yeah.
I'm marrying Scarlet.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
I'm probably killing Neffany.
I mean, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
God
I'm
damn.
definitely fucking Pistachio's mom.
Yeah, and Cashew would watch.
Oh,
Oh my
my
God.
God.
Truly,
Wow.
truly, Rowan's big swings with Pistachio's family never cease to surprise me. That was a fun scene though. Like, it's the ability, how quickly I can fall into just flirting with my players is really high. And so it's funny because we played actually, I think me and Joe played D&D. Well, I DM'd a game of D&D with a couple friends.
Oh, this was recent though.
This was recent.
like this was like what, 2 months ago
A
maybe?
couple months ago. And I just distinctly remember at some point there was a character and we fell immediately into just like flirting with each other.
You know, like we did for most of season
Most
one.
of season one.
Right.
And,
It's because Joe is so comfortable in his sexuality, right?
and then just like the other people at the table were like, what is happening?
No, one of our friends, like, so like all of our like partners came afterwards to, like, we were at a brewery,
Yeah.
which makes it extra funny because we were like in a
Yeah.
public setting. And so like our partners came to the brewery after, and our one friend was just like telling his wife, he's like, Joe and, you know, Isaac were just, you know, da, 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 da. And it occurred to me, I was like, oh, like this isn't normal for them. Just
That also had, I remember that game, I think had the pinnacle of my possible jokes about riddles, which maybe I'll use on the podcast one day. So I won't say what it is, but I got to say, I think that was my favorite iteration of jokes.
cool.
Speaking of riddles, Rowan, a question for you. What was Pistachio's inspiration?
Good question. So when I create a character, I have like 3 things that I do for them. One is like their inspiration of how they play themselves, and then number 2 is like how they interact with others, and then number 3 is their art. Because I'm the artist for the show, so I always think about, you know, what they're gonna look like. So the first thing, we'll start with the easy one, is I was looking at all of the Daggerheart things, and I was like, you know, it'd be really funny if you had a druid that was allergic to the outside. And so I was like, that'd be really, really great. And somehow I started with like seasonal allergies, and then decided to go immediately into, it would be really funny if it was like specifically nut allergies, and then it would be really funny if I named that person who is allergic to nuts Pistachio, and then gave them an entire family named after nuts, and also put them on a farm. So that just like, I started just going down the funniest thing I could think of at that time. As far as like personality and with each other, I work with a lot of interns, and I just wanted that person that was just like too try hard, just too try hard. Like first job, wants to make a good impression, just like a little too earnest. Because just like Joe, I was bringing in my real life into this, and was like, they don't know how funny they are. As somebody who has been working in kind of disillusioned a little bit now, and like experiencing the horrors of being in capitalism for a long time. And then as far as drawing, then it was like, I wanted a little fawn, I wanted a little red-haired fawn, and then somehow I popped into my brain like Chucky Finster from Rugrats. And I was like, we are in our 30s, in case you didn't know. So a little bit of Chucky Finster got in there. I think that's the big one that came in. And then I was just like, it'd be really, really cute to put them in sweaters. So I started doodling them out, and then I have all 3 actually of their art pages in coloring pencil, because that's what the medium I was working in at the time. And I have Pistachio, Cappy, and Crank's original art pieces too, which I guess
That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
I haven't seen them since we did that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dig them up there. It's been a while.
Yo, and Rowan, a specific question for you. You kind of answered the other question in here about the voice. So I'll ask the other Rowan specific question from Smash My Foot on Blue Sky.
Sure.
What advice would you have for those who are not non-binary for portraying non-binary characters in TTRPGs?
Well, that's a good question, I guess, because when I started Pistachio was around the time that I came out as non-binary. So I have literally played men, I've played women, I've played every gender around. And I think the TTRPG space is a space that you simply can play around with gender a little bit. And for the most part, I think the conceit of it is that everybody's a person. So just like treat it like a characteristic that you would like. You don't. I don't play up the fact that they have red hair very much, or that they have curly hair very much. Like it's a piece of a big picture. So like as long as you're not making it the only thing about them, then I think that's the way you play that well.
Nice. Yeah, very good. And then for you, Isaac, there's actually a question for you, the GM. Oh, thank you, Isaac. Yeah, what's the question? So this one comes from Carl on Blue Sky. And what was your process for building the Bracken Road arc? Do you have everything planned, or do you plan based on what the characters are doing? And I love this question, so I'm going to answer it, which is whenever I am building anything for a set amount of time, I spend a lot of time at the very beginning on trying to figure out how it will start and build the foundation for myself and the players. And I have a solid sense of where it will end, right? So I basically know where I'm starting and I know what direction I'm going towards. But then everything else, I take one session at a time. I keep it so that way I'm not heavy-handed necessarily, or even railroady. I hate the term railroad, but that way I don't put an expectation on myself and the players that would sort of pigeonhole y'all into anything. So literally, like a lot of times I'll have an idea for the next session or two, and that's as far as it goes. But because I know what the ending is going to look like. So from the beginning, I knew we're going to start in Bracken Road, sleepy little town with apples. And I knew something was going to happen where it's going to get wiped off the map, right? Those are those two things. From the start, there were a lot of ways they could have blown up. Part of me thought that relic would be a thing that blows it up. It could have just been something the players did specifically. But based on y'all's decisions and based on things that came up, because there were a couple places things could have gone that it didn't go that way. So it was really based on like what y'all did, the way y'all reacted to things that dictated how we got to that ending. And so, but the very beginning, like I had a sense of who y'all knew. I kind of talked to y'all a little beforehand, like who's an NPC in town that you care about? That I think was my one question for y'all. And then when we started, I kind of asked like, what's a detail about Bracken Road that you want to put in here? Which I think my favorite was still the Break Row Library. Break Row Library. But yeah, everything that happened after the like episode 4, because that was technically our quote unquote first episode, up until the finale, I was building towards something happening. What it was, I wasn't 100% sure until right before the festival. But because I had an idea of where it was going, anything I seeded would eventually fit. So, and that's how I recommend people do it. When I was like starting out, I would plan way in the future. Like I would have I would tell myself I need to know what's going to happen 10 sessions ahead. Like I had a 10 session plan at all times. And that, the work can be fulfilling, but the amount of work I have had to do nothing with, spending a full work day on my weekends at a coffee bar, just, doing writing, you learn to sort of prioritize. So, and that's how I recommend most GMs do it, is have a strong foundation, know what direction you're going, but stay loose, like one session ahead as you go.
I will say, like, I don't think going in, I guess going way back, starting at like what our expectations were, I didn't think we would spend the whole season in Bracken Road.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm glad we did. Like, I really liked the pacing of it and that we got to spend as much time with the characters and like, the librarian and, the Pistachio group family and, Cyrus and all of those that we did. But yeah, I will say that definitely surprised me. I thought like a couple episodes in was going to be the Apple Festival, and then whatever happened after that was going to kind of take us to the next thing. So
yeah, that's actually interesting. Because another question we did receive, I think this will be the last question we do, is from Emma on Discord that asked, were there any theories that you had that either got proven true or didn't happen? And what were those?
1, 2, 3, not it.
I guess I'll just go first every time.
Nice. Way to be there, Annie.
Again.
Take charge.
You have the highest initiative. What can I say?
I guess I do. I'm the biggest target over here. again, when we sit down to play, all of my higher thought processes stop. Like, I don't know. Like, I literally forget everything that happened in a session until I listen to it back when it releases.
That's incredible.
And then I'm like, oh, yeah, that happened. So I don't know if I have any theories. Like,
Yeah.
I did not have the capacity to develop those. If I listened back to the episodes again, maybe I would have some time and some like processing power to put towards that. But
Yeah.
I am just flying by the seat of my pants over here.
Blank slate crank. I love it.
Slate Crank.
I love it.
Like Slate Crank.
I definitely was starting to get the really terrible feeling that Cyrus was the bad guy.
Oh no.
Really?
And that the cane limp was bullshit. That's like, I didn't at first at all. And then there's that scene where Cappy's stealing the halberd and he's like on the phone. And I was like, oh shit. And then like, oh wait. And then like Crank is working with the magic, I think, out in that field. And he does the scan. And there's something about red fur or something on the tree.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit. And then when we defused the bomb, there's
Mhm.
that guy and he's like it's like a blink and you miss
Red
it.
scarlet.
Or red flash or
Red
something. He's like,
flash.
oh, red flash still got it or something. And
Scarlet
like he says that he has like the big dents in him.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, like Cyrus went like full Donkey Kong. Just
Yeah.
like boom, boom, boom on like, which I still think obviously did happen, but it turned out to be his, nephew or whoever. So that was good. I'm glad, at least for now, that Cyrus is still not a bad guy.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
For
But
now.
I think that was my theory that thankfully was disproven.
Nice.
My theory was also about Cyrus. Mostly that when we did the Chomsky, and they did mention that their commander was like a red Simia, right? And I was like, that guy is related to Cyrus. I don't know how. I don't know why. But that guy is related to Scarlet. Or not Scarlet, Cyrus. And yeah. And now every red Simia, I'm like, who's that?
Anything red or scarlet.
Anything red or scarlet has to do with Cappy. And everything scarlet or red Simia, I'm like,
Cyrus.
Cyrus.
Yeah.
Cyrus.
Cyrus.
Nice.
There may or may not exist a voicemail on Six phone where I'm like, that fucking Jimmy is related to Cyrus, isn't he? You little fuck.
I love it when I get a DM from one of y'all that's just like, what about this? Because I do the same thing every time. I just send the eyeballs emoji. It's my favorite
Every
emoji.
single time.
Every
yeah.
single time.
I do have, wait, is this a quick thing where I can rattle off things
Yeah.
that I still need to know about?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
What the fuck happened to Sebastian?
Yeah, where's
Oh,
Sebastian?
yeah, that
That
fuck.
shape-shifting fuck. He fucking jumped out a window. Well, so, and the other thing is we don't know that we haven't fucking
Yeah. Maybe we have seen
came
it.
into contact with him.
There
Yeah.
is a season
My running
two.
should I say it? My running
Go for it.
theory is that he's the senator.
Ooh.
Oh, shit.
That's
Oh.
because like remember, like she like goes to like obviously like she had something bigger to do with it, but she like her excuse for like everyone alerts to her being a drunk,
Mhm.
and she like goes because she like drank too much and has a headache. But like we also know, what faking it or not, Sebastian had a bit of a thing for drinking. Like even in the prologue when he's hey,
Mm.
where do I get a drink in this town? Or
Isaac smiles
when
so
he's like-
fucking wide.
so I don't know. That's still eating at me pretty hard.
Ooh. Very interesting.
I really got to sit down and listen to all these episodes back to back to back before season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should we announce season 2?
Yeah, you want to announce season 2?
Is that how we end it? Are you done? Do you have anything else you want to say?
Do you have any other theories that you didn't get to?
I do, but
Listen.
now I can't. Like, I feel like I have them, and that's when I'll like DM Isaac, and I'll be like, "Hey, by the way, what about this?" And then he'll give me the fucking eyes, and
Just eyes.
just eyes. So I don't know. Do you have theories?
Oh no, I just want to know what's in the book.
Oh, the book.
Oh,
that
that's right. I keep
yeah.
fucking forgetting about the book.
Roseanne gave you a book.
I need to write that down and put it somewhere I can see it every session
Yeah.
so that I remember. Because again, I forget everything.
Yeah.
But
At the end of a session, my mind goes blank.
In your defense, though, it makes a lot of sense that Crank wouldn't pick up the book because you got the staff, the easy way to magic
Yeah.
the staff.
Alana. Like, what's going on with Alana?
Yeah.
Because we had Adrian, who was with the elf girl when you were activated, Annie.
That was weird.
Isaac
and then
has
he's with who now? What's his name?
Timothy.
Timothy. Yeah. He's with
Timothy.
Timothy. Who's Alana? Does Alana have powers? Like I have so many hopes for Alana, and I don't know why, but like
giving Alana the wizard hat was an incredible move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes people will interact with NPCs in a way that signals to you, the GM, like you should do something with this character, right?
Mhm.
Because I think if like Alana was there and y'all were just like, okay, whatever, I don't like kids, whatever, and y'all like didn't talk to Alana, Alana would just like go walk into the ocean. You know what I mean? Like she disappears. Who cares? Like that's important as a GM. No matter how cool your NPCs are, always be willing to yeet them into the sun if the players don't vibe with them. But giving Alana the wizard hat.
I feel like Crank really vibed with Alana. You know, Alana was like, "Why don't you eat?" And I was like, like it was that whole like back and forth because, like, again, like I am not a parent. I'm never going to be a parent. But like I know that kids just ask questions and ask questions and ask questions, and I know that Crank would be a good sport about it and would just answer the questions like as frankly as possible, because I don't think he would really understand what was happening. And I think he'd be just like, oh, this person's trying to talk to me, I should talk back. Like, I should answer their questions. So yeah, that was a really fun moment for me too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also want to know why Crank doesn't have any memories for the last 10 years.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Like what happened to Crank?
Yeah, Crank like was in battle
Crank?
and then it's 10 years later.
He was offline.
What?
I don't know what happened in those 10
so
years.
how did he come back online?
Yeah, how did he come back online?
I don't know. That's a part
Isaac?
of my backstory I'm not aware of.
Yeah, Isaac.
Isaac's faces.
How did he come back online?
Isaac is literally the eyes emoji right now.
Yeah. Isaac somehow turned himself into 2 eyeballs and going back and forth. Yeah, that's mostly my questions is all about Crank.
Well, I also want to know well, there's things about Cappy. Do you guys do you have any questions about Cappy? It's okay if you don't. Cappy's got stuff.
Well, so I do want to know how Cappy got the like jacket and the significance behind the jacket. My personal theory about that is that it was Cappy's previous adventures, like perhaps the first one, like perhaps this. So I see a lot of like ties between Cappy and Pistachio. Like maybe Pistachio is where Cappy would have been like at the very beginning, as everybody is. At the start of their careers, if you will, and that something happened and Cappy was given the jacket and is now like, hold on to that kind of thing. I want to know about it. I want to know all about it.
I'm not going to tell you what it is, but can I tell you?
Yeah.
That's not it.
Okay.
That's not it. I think
not it.
my question, the big question I have about Cappy is why a halberd? Like, where did the halberd come from? Like, because when I picture Cappy, I don't picture Cappy with a giant fucking weapon.
I don't think I pictured Cappy with
So, like, was that like an Isaac choice? Or was that something y'all collaborated on of like thinking of the type of
If
weapon?
you can't tell by the episode that I had to keep looking at my notes to even remember the name Halberd, I assure you that was not me.
Okay.
And also, something that was cut out of those episodes was me rolling bad to examine the halberd.
Yeah.
And failing every time to get any information about like what it does.
Well, that's Cyrus's halberd, right? And it has a mark on it that I think is important.
I don't know if that ever made it to the episodes.
Yeah, that's something we'll find out in season 2.
Yeah.
And if you want to know the answer to all of these really great questions, I guess you're going to have to tune into season 2, which
Josh asked, by the way. This technically counts as a question because Josh asked, how long do we have to wait for more?
Yeah.
And when is season 2?
Season 2, we're planning on starting episode 1 of season 2 first Tuesday of July. So
when it releases. When it releases. So now, because if it wasn't obvious, we did all of season 1 with the beta rule set, which will make in 2 years when I listen back to this and I'm saying the words like action tracker and armor score, it'll be really weird. No,
we're keeping the soft of rope.
How dare you?
How dare you?
But season 2, we've sort of been waiting for the full release when we all get our crispy books with the nice art. Let me tell you.
Transit.
You're still in transit?
Mine's still in transit.
Well, when it gets here, we're gonna be cracking open those books and we're gonna be all up in there. But yeah, so July is when the first episode of season 2. We probably won't do weekly episodes starting July.
No,
because Isaac and Joe need
Joe couldn't handle it.
Yeah, right.
Joe couldn't deal with it.
Rowan can't handle pumping out an animation every week. Let me tell you.
That's right. That's right. The yeah, my partner Harper has asked that I not do weekly releases again either. So but tune in for that. And this was a lot of fun. I hope that we do this again sometime.
Yeah.
If the people, if you really liked this content, let us know in the socials. Hashtag Dodoborne. Give us more talkbacks, Isaac, please.
Say it, please, Daddy Isaac.
Well, maybe don't do that. Maybe don't do that. We don't know each other that well.
Okay, please, Isaac, sir, please.
Okay, well,
maybe we just cut there.
Well, anyway, hey, it's a podcast.
Hey, it's a podcast.
Squawk.
Squawk.
Squawk. Hey, it's a podcast.